Under text processing, we have an operation of retrieving a substring from a given string. That is, the user is expected to enter a lengthier string, and from that string they have to give a position, and we must be able to retrieve that particular substring. So, retrieval of a substring from a given string, that is, we must be able to retrieve a smaller string from an user entered bigger string. So, we will see what are the possibilities for that, what are the possibilities that we can give to our user. The first case what we have taken is, the user will be entering a string. From that string they have to give the number of elements which is to be retrieved from left hand side. That is, if I am having a string like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if I am giving the number of elements are 3, then it will return me only the first 3 characters. It will return me the first 3 characters, that is from the left hand side. For that, this algorithm is going to help us. So, first you write start, after that you declare variables for holding the original bigger string, and the retrieved string based on the user's requirement, you can have one more variable left where you can store the retrieved string, that is 1, 2, 3. So, big is for storing the original string, and left is for storing the retrieved string from the left hand side, and big length is going to hold the length of the bigger string, and n is going to hold the number of elements user wants to retrieve from left. After that you read the big string and read number of characters which are required by the user from left, and then you calculate the length of the big string either by using built-in functions or else you can write your own notations for that. First you find the length of the big string and store it in big length. Then if n is less than big length, only then we can proceed. Say for example, I am having the character string array of size 5, but if I am giving to retrieve some 7 characters from it, how is it actually possible? When the number of characters are greater than the length, it is not possible. So, you can go to stop and display, you can display that it is the retrieval is not possible, and then stop the program. If it is lesser, then it is purely valid requirement, so we can proceed further. You initialize your I value as 0, that means you are pointing to the first position, and then you repeat the steps 9 to 10 until I is less than n, that is number of characters. How many number of characters? Until you have to proceed this step, that is big of I, it is initially 0, so first character is stored in the left of I, first character stored in the new string left. Then you increment the I value, then check whether you have retrieved all the strings which are expected by the user, that is up to n character. If it is not, once again you store the character from big to left. So, once you coming out of the loop, you would have completed all the characters required, and then you have to store the null character at the last of your new character array left. Then you may display the string left, and with that your program terminates. So, here the sample taken here is the big string is basics of computing, and the user has entered the n value as 4. The number of characters in big length is 19, then you are checking whether n is less than big length. Yes, it is true, so we can proceed further, and I is initialized as 0. So, the first step is you have to check whether I is less than n or not. Yes, 0 is less than 4. So, it is true. We can go to the loop once again. We can enter into that loop. There what do we do? Left of I equal to big of I, that is left of 0 is equal to big of 0. So, in big of 0 what is there? B is there, which is stored in left of 0 now, and then you increment the I value by one step. then we have to check whether the new I value is less than n or not. Yes, it is less than n, so we can proceed further. So this time also left of I equal to big of I, that is big 1, that is the second character A has to be taken and stored in left 1. In left already we have B, this time we have stored A also, and you increment your I value by one more step, and then you check whether the new value of I lies less than 4. So 2 is less than 4, which is also true. So you have to store left of 2 to big of 2, that is left of 2 is equal to big of 2. So this time it will take the character S and it will be storing it in the left. Then you increment your I value by one more step, which you have to check for the validity of the condition. 3 is less than 4, so once again you can enter. That means what? We haven't completed till the user's requirement. User required to retrieve 4 characters from the left hand side. So this time it is left of 3 is equal to big of 3. So left of 3, big of 3 is C now. I now. So I has been taken and which has been stored in left. After that, let us increment our I value by one step, but this time it is not less than n, which is equal to n. So the condition fails, you are coming out. So once the condition fails and we come out, we have to store null in ith position. Your I is actually 4. So in the fourth position means 0, 1, 2, 3. So here you mean fourth I of 4, it will be stored as left of 4, we have null. So the retrieved character is BASI because the user wanted to have only the first 4 characters. So this algorithm helps you to retrieve a substring from left hand side. The other case is how to retrieve a substring from the right hand side, that is from the last position. So we have declared the variables for big and right and big length and the number of characters from the right hand side. So once you read the big string and after that you read the number of characters which are required from right hand side. Find the length of the string, and as usual the validity of n has to be checked, which must be less than big length. If it is less than big length, you can proceed further. So this time you are going to take from the last character. So how to position your I to the last character? Length minus 1. So I is equal to length minus n, because if the character string is like that, if I need the last 3 characters, then from the length minus the number of elements, so that it will be pointing exactly to that position. From that position you can retrieve the characters and you can store it in a new string. So for this purpose we are giving I as big length minus n, and you initialize I as big length minus n and j as 0 and repeat the steps 9 to 10 until j less than n. That means until we retrieve n characters. So right of j equal to big of I. J is pointing to 0. I is pointing to the position from where we are retrieving. So right of j equal to big of I, and every time you increment I as well as j, when you are coming out of the loop you store null at the last position of your new character array and display the new retrieved right hand side string. With that you may stop. So here is the input what we have taken, which is basics of computing. And so for this input, big is basics of computing. The user is entering 4, that means from the right hand side they expect 4 characters, which is T, I, N, G, and the length of the big string is 19. which is 0 to 18, and n is less than big length. That is why it is possible for us to proceed further. Our n is 4, the length is 19, so which is less than big length, so we can proceed further. So I is equal to big length minus n, that is 15, big length is 19, big length minus n is 19 minus 4 is 15. That means your I is exactly pointing to this position. That is what we are able to take the last 4 characters. So j is 0 now. So first condition is we have to check whether j less than n. Yes, j is 0, your n is 4, which is less than n. So the condition is true, we can enter into the loop. Inside the loop, the operation is right of j equal to big of I. So big of I means this time your I is 15, which is t, which has been stored in the string array, character array t, and then you are incrementing both I and j. So I is incremented one more step. In the next step, j is also incremented, j is now 1, which is less than n, so this time it is true. So here right of j is equal to big of I. So big of I means it is character I which is there in the 16th position, so which has been moved to the right, that is which has been moved to the string right. Then you increment your I and j, so your I is 17 and j is 2 this time. Once again you have to check for the condition of j. J is once again less than n, so we can go inside. So this time from the 17th index it has to be taken from big and it has to be stored in right. That string is tin up to now. Then you increment your I and j. We still have not completed because the user is expecting 4 characters from the right hand side. We have only completed 3. So this time 3 less than 4, which is also true. So once again we can take the character from this position, that is in the 18th position, we can store it in the 3rd position of right. So which will give you tin g. Then once again you increment your I and j, but what happens, the condition is failing because j is not less than n, which is equal to n. So once the condition fails, we have one operation to perform, which is adding a null character to j. Your present value of j is actually 4. So in that position we have to store null character. So after retrieving the element, you will be having the substring as tin g for you. So this is how you have to retrieve the substring from the right hand side, that is from the last position. So there is no restriction for us to enter the numbers, but only thing what we have to be very careful is the number of elements to be retrieved is definitely should be less than the big length, the length actual string. Then the next category, in the previous situations what we have seen is how to retrieve a string from the left hand side and how to retrieve a string from the right hand side, but user may wants to retrieve a string from a particular position. So how to develop algorithm for that? So here we have declared the variable to hold the main string, and this is where we are going to store the retrieved string, that is anywhere in the position, middle position, anywhere we can expect, and the length of the big string as usual, and the position from where. Here the p represents exactly the index, the position. Index is actually p minus 1, that is what. So user will be only giving position, so we must be able to calculate what is the index for that position. If user is giving p as 1, then we must understand it is an index as 0, and from that position how many characters they want, that is what we are going to get in the variable n, and then you read the string n and you read the big string and read the values of n and p, provided p is the position from where we have to retrieve and n is the number of characters required from that position. That is what the understanding here. And you calculate the length of the big string, and if p plus n greater than big length, just I am having a string length as 5, then I am giving the position as 3 and the number of characters as 4. From the third position I need 4 characters. That means what? It is actually reaching 7, which is actually not possible because already we are having only 5 characters. So, when p plus n is greater than big length, you just stop the program by telling it is not possible. Otherwise, we proceed to the next step. In the next step, I is initialized as position minus 1 because position means it is from the user's perception it is position, but in terms of index it is minus 1. So, I is initialized I is pointing to the position from where the user required to substring, and j is 0 because j is going to point to the new character array middle, and repeat the steps 9 to 10 until I less than n. I is initialized as p minus 1, that is from where we are going to retrieve the string, and j is initialized as 0 because that is going to point to the new character array mid, so which actually starts from 0, and we have to repeat these steps until j less than n. So, what are the operation? Mid j equal to big of I, because I is pointing to the big string, and there it is pointing to the position from where it has to be retrieved. How many strings has to be retrieved, that is being controlled by this particular part, and then that many times we will read the characters from big and we will store it in mid. On every iteration you have to increment your I as well as j. Once you come out of this, you will be having the retrieved string in mid, and finally you must be adding the null character to make it a proper character array, and then you can display your mid. With that your program stops. So, we have taken the same string as an example. So, we have taken this as an example, that is basics of computing, and in that the user expecting the position as 11. 11th position means in terms of index, which is actually 10. From 10, the user is expecting to have 3 characters, that is COM, that is what to be retrieved. The number of characters from that position is 3, the position is actually 11. As the position is 11, the index is 10. So, the length of the big string is 19, which is calculated, and p plus n must be less than the big length. So, p is 11, n is 3, 11 plus 3 is 14, which is less than 19. So, we are eligible to do the substring operation. I is positioned at p minus 1, that means I is exactly pointing to the place from where we have to retrieve. So, how many times we have to take a copy? 3 times. On each time you have to increment the I value by 1 step. So, that is what going to happen here. So, the first step is we have to check whether j is less than n. J is initially 0, n is 3, so it is true. You can proceed next. There you are having mid of j is equal to big of I. Big of I means it is pointing to the 10th position now. So, C has been taken and it has been copied to the string mid, and you increment your I as well as j. So, I is now pointing to index 11, and then you check once again whether j is meeting the condition of less than 3. Yes, it is meeting. So, once again we can go inside the loop. So, mid of j equal to big of I. So, mid of j is mid of 1, which is equal to big of I. This time big I is pointing to the 11th position. There we have the character O, which has been stored in the string mid. You increment your I and j, check for j less than n. This time also it is true because we have copied only 2 characters, we still have 1 more character, and mid of j equal to big of I. So, I is already incremented in this step, so which is pointing to 12. So, m has been copied to mid, and once you are incrementing your I and j, here it comes fails because ij is not less than n, which is equal to n. So when the condition fails, you are coming out, you remember to store this null character at the last of your new character array called mid. So once it is stored, you can display your mid, which is COM. Now we have given the choice for the user from which position they want to retrieve and how many characters they need to retrieve. So earlier what we have seen is from the beginning and from the end. Now this is from position and number of characters. So this is how a retrieval of substring from a given string can be performed. So we have seen text processing, that is many string operations. Under the concept of text processing, we have developed algorithms for finding the length of the string, that is without using the built-in function strlen, how to find the length of the string, that we have developed, and how to copy a string to another string. Though there is a program, there is a built-in algorithm. We have seen the next operation is copying a string. Though there is an example, there is a built-in function available for copying strcpy, we learnt how to develop our own algorithm for how copy one string to another one. And the next algorithm what we have seen is concatenating two strings, that is strcat. So by having our own customization, we can have our own concatenation algorithm. So to concatenate two strings, how to So here is a summary of string operations. Under the concept of text processing, we have developed the algorithms for finding the length of the string, copying a string, concatenating two strings together, and comparing two strings for equality, and reversing a string, and converting a string from lowercase to uppercase as well as uppercase to lowercase, and categorizing the strings characters in terms of vowel, consonant, digit and special characters. And finally, we have learnt to extract a substring from a string based on user's requirement. In the case of finding the length of the string, we know already there is a built-in function available. So in the case of extracting a substring, we have given the sophistication to the user either from left hand side or from the right hand side or from a required position to the number of characters they can extract. So all these operations have been discussed in this module.